In today's show, recapping a couple of games over the weekend, the Blazers win in Brooklyn and lose in overtime in Cleveland on Sunday. We'll talk about those games. Plus, the Blazers are better than the good teams. What does that mean for them going forward? Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same as Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're going to recap a couple games. Blazers beat the Brooklyn Nets in Brooklyn. Take that! And then fall in a very entertaining game Sunday in overtime against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We'll get into both of those games. We'll talk about why the Blazers are just straight up better than the bad teams. We've got enough evidence now that this stage of where they're in and where they've progressed to this season, Portland's better than the bad teams. That's just true. We'll talk about what it means and how they build from here to close the show, because where they are is where they are. So how do they get to what's next? We will talk big picture stuff to close the show. Let's start with small picture stuff. Friday, Brooklyn. Blazers win 121-102. Here's your fastest recap in the West. Blazers up 33-25 after one. Shaedon Sharpe hits his first 6 shots in the first quarter and his first 7 overall. He has 17 in the first half. The king is here. The Blazers playing without Denny Avdia, missing the game with a bruised left quad, without Jeremy Grant, who's missing the game with right knee soreness. Still no DeAndre Ayton, still no Matisse Thybulle, obviously. Still no Robert Williams, although an update to Robert Williams' injury report is it used to say that he was out with soreness. Now the official injury report is listing him as a left knee sprain. Doesn't matter. Shaedon's hooping. They're balling. Brooklyn has no chance. 64-47 at the break, a 17-point lead. But Brooklyn won't go away. It's 91-82 after 3. And the only reason the Nets are in this game is 2 reasons. The only 2 reasons the Nets are in this game is, 1, they have 19 offensive rebounds through 3 quarters. They got on the glass. They got on the glass and gave themselves an opportunity. And 2, the Blazers had 14 turnovers. I thought the Nets had a lot of ball pressure in this game, clearly an aggressive defensive style, and the Blazers, 14 turnovers through the first 3 quarters, that's too many. That's going to make it hard for you. Nets, of course, had 17 through 3 quarters. They're quite a team, but you keep a team in the game by giving them a lot of extra chances. Turnovers, offensive rebounds, extra chances, and yet Delano Banton says, nah. We are going home, and y'all are coming with me. DB Hooper jumps out the game, and leaves with the cash. 16 in the fourth quarter. 16 of his 23 in the fourth quarter. Finished on the fourth quarter, 5 of 7 from the field, including 2 of 3 from 3. Got to the free throw line, hit 4 of 5 free throws, finished with 5 boards. It's been a while since I had a good old-fashioned Delano Banton heater to slam the door shut. From a 9-point game to he scores the first bucket of the fourth quarter, puts in double digits, and the Nets do not come back because DB won't let them. Hooping! He was good in this game. Blazers win 121-102. He was good in this game. I believe I said he finished with 23. He did indeed on 8 of 11 shooting. Shaedon Sharpe, 17 in the first half. He finished with 25. Blazers win going away. They beat another bad team. It's what they do. They just kind of cruise in this one, and then they continue on their road trip. Blazers now winners of 4 in a row. 4 in a row against, tanking teams, or I should say lottery-bound teams. We talked about this in a previous podcast. It's like, there's a pretty good chance that they go take care of business and beat some bad teams, and then they did. They went out and took care of business and beat the Charlottes of the world, and Charlotte and Utah and Washington and Brooklyn. And it's like, we'll talk about this more in the second segment, but at this point, Blazers were favored on the road in Brooklyn. You expected them to go in and win, and obviously the Nets hung around a little bit in that third quarter because the Blazers gave up some points, right? They gave a 35 point quarter, but slammed the door shut, was not in doubt down the stretch because they made sure it wasn't. Sunday's a different thing. Sunday's a afternoon, 3:30 in the afternoon, East Coast time, game against a team that is 49-10. The Cavs are playing without Donovan Mitchell, of course, but the Blazers get Denny Avdija, or I should say, and the Blazers get Denny Avdija back in the lineup. So, Blazers getting a little bit healthier. The Cavs, an excellent team. Championship level good. I don't know people's general. I can't say that I have a good sense of the sort of general confidence in the Cleveland Cavaliers' chances to win a championship. But when you're 49-10, and spoiler, they win this game, 133-129. This is fast recap in the West. They're 50-10. Teams that win 65 games are championship good, right? Those are teams that are in the finals. Those are teams that if they don't make the conference finals are a mess. If they lose in the conference finals, we will talk about them. Teams that win this much in the regular season, you just typically see teams this good with this kind of offense and this kind of defense win at the highest levels when it matters. I don't know what people feel about the general consensus of Cavs championship level good. I'd be stunned if it's not them or Boston coming out of the East. I think they're that good that everyone else is significantly further below them. I think they're an excellent team, playing without if not their best, one of their best players. But they have kept that thing moving with injuries all year long, and the Blazers just come in and make it tough on them. Blazers up 3 after 1, up 12 at halftime, where they closed the half on a 15-zip run. Toumani Camara had 5 steals in the first half. They're hooping. Denny is hooping. 2 is hooping. Scoot is hooping. Shaedon Sharpe had a nice first half. Donovan Clingan was already in foul trouble at halftime, but you get 4 fouls. The young core is leading you to a double-digit lead on the road against a good Cavs team, and it's like, oh boy, here they come. This was going to be one of those signature wins of the year for him. This was going to be hey, I know we've kind of fattened up on a light schedule, but light schedule this, check it out. And I think the Blazers have plenty to be proud of the way they played in this game. I thought in the first half their defense was really, really good, and I thought the Cavs missed some makeable shots. I think that happens. Some of that is if maybe you don't get a rhythm shot every time down the floor. When you do get a good shot, you're not in a rhythm, right? But I think the Cavs missed some shots they can make in that first half, and the Blazers played really good defense. I thought their ball pressure particularly was really good. Darius Garland had nothing. They had nothing for him. They had Toumani on him for the most part, and Toumani said, "Come here, Geppetto," and swallowed him whole. It was an awesome performance for sure in that first half. And the Blazers led by as many as 18 in the third quarter, and this looked like runaway signature win type of game. But the Cavs are good and they come back. 10-point game. Cavs ran a 3 at the buzzer of the third quarter. 10-point game heading in the fourth. Then it's going to be one that gets decided in the final 12 minutes, right? If you're up 18, maybe you can just say you win the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, Cavs might not even try it, right? But because it's a 10-point game heading in the fourth, there's no chance that the Cavs say, hey, there was no not our afternoon type of game. Cavs finally take the lead under 5 minutes. And they had a lead early in the second half, but they were early in the first half, but first lead the second half under 5 minutes in this game. And then it's just back and forth at the end, and join me in the final 15 seconds. Max Strus hits a 3-pointer with 15.6 seconds left, and the Cavs say, we're going to foul. They decide to foul up 3. I'm recording this live from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and in Chapel Hill, I was taught by the great Dean Smith, fouling up 3 is actually fine. It's fine. It is maybe even pragmatic. It's kind of ugly. It's not fun basketball to watch, but I think strategically it's fine. Unless you miss your free throw. So the Cavs foul up 3. Anthony Simons hits 2 free throws. Darius Garland, who has on his resume earlier this year, he's an elite free throw shooter, one of the best in the league, has a game this year where he missed huge free throws that the Cavs would have won the game if he stepped to the line and made free throws and got fouled on a 3 late. Yikes! I like Darius Garland. I'm just saying they needed him to make 2 more free throws and they probably win the game. He steps to the line and doesn't. He splits them. So now it's a 2-point game, and the Blazers get the ball back, and now fouling up 3. What has it wrought to? Blazers go, Anthony Simons, they just go right. A classic Anthony go right play. They clear out the right side of the floor and let him attack. And he gets to the rim, and I thought the foul call was weak. I thought the foul call was late, and I thought Max Strus guarded it like a coward. He got punished for being a coward. Anthony Simons drives. Max Strus slides over to take a charge. I'm not sure he hit him even at all. He barely touched him if he did, but then he super flops and falls down like a coward. He does not try to contest the shot. Anthony Simons misses the layup. It looks like the Blazers are going to lose. They're fighting for the rebound. Late foul whistle. Ant goes to the line, hits 2 free throws. I didn't like the foul call. I hated the timing of the whistle in that stage of the game. And Max Strus contest a layup when the game's on the line. You coward. Obviously, pot kettle. I love Toumani Camara. He's one of the best floppers in the game, one of the great foul drawers in the NBA. But Toumani contests shots when he needs to. I'm not even really comparing the two. If Toumani had done what Max Strus did in that game, in that exact situation, and like slide over and take a weak ass foul and fall down, would have called him a coward too. Coward play. Anthony Simons hits 2 free throws. Cavs out of timeouts. We go to overtime, tied at 119. With a minute 25 left in overtime, the game is tied on a really nice drive. Toumani Camara baseline, beats his man, layup at the rim. Nice move by Toumani. Cavs go the other way. Ty Jerome misses a floater. Blazers have the ball. They have the ball. And a chance to, in overtime, game tied at 126 with about a minute 25 left. Toumani Camara drives baseline. Really nice move. Beats his man. Gets to the cup. Now we got a tie ball game. And the Blazers get the ball tied and have a shot. Ty Jerome misses a floater. Blazers come the other way, and Denny Avdija he throws an outlet pass that it's not far enough. It just gets picked off. Darius Garland picks it off. Cavs get to push the other way, and DeAndre Hunter, who was also really good in this game. Denny was awesome in this game. We'll talk about more in him in a second. He just made a turnover there. He didn't need to make that pass, and he tried to. Cavs run the other way. Hunter gets inside, gets fouled by Scoot Henderson. He makes 2 free throws. Cavs are up 2. But the Blazers come down. Anthony Simons hits a tough step back with 44 seconds left. Bam! Blazers are up 1. Play some defense, and you're going to have a good shot at it. And DeAndre Hunter hits another 3, a right wing 3 where he kind of, am I going to shoot it? Yeah, I am type of shooter. He was really on it. He was on a heater. It was he was really good in this game. And the Cavs go up 131, 129 with 30 seconds left. Blazers call a timeout. Say, okay, we're going to give ourselves. The Cavs get the 2 for 1. It's like, okay, we're going to give ourselves a chance. Obviously, if we don't score, we're going to have to foul. And Toumani's the inbounder. He tries to throw a pass, like a lob pass over the top inside. It doesn't work. Turnover. Cavs come the other way. Clock's under 30 seconds. A 1-point game. You know you're going to have to foul. And Max Strus kind of gets caught in between pass and dribble and turns it over. Shaedon Sharpe goes the other way. It's all the way to the rim. Oh, misses a layup opportunity. Duop Reith comes in there, and because Don McClingan's already fouled out, Duop Reith comes in there, gets a key offensive rebound, kicks it back out to Denny Avdija, and Denny tries to take a 3-pointer that would have given the Blazers the win. It's off. Cavs board, Blazers foul. That's your ball game. Fast recap in the West. Blazers lose 133-129. Awesome game. Let's talk more about Denny and all of the things that happened in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, let's talk FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book, and they want you to know that when the games tip off, NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place to get in on that action than America's #1 sports book. FanDuel's the place to bet on live sports throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off of your favorite NBA team, you can bet on the second quarter, the third quarter, a fourth quarter comeback, an overtime, whatever it might be. You can stay in on the action. If you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. Plus, the app has everything you need right there in one spot with live updating stats, live play-by-play, so you can be an up-to-the-second wagerer. And right now, new customers to FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right. Look, Denny was awesome against the Cavs. A 30-point triple-double, the first triple-double of his career. He was fantastic. The Blazers, he had a turnover late and he missed a 3-pointer that would have won the game. But prior to that 3, He was freaking 8 of 12 from the floor, 13 of 13 from the stripe, 30 points, 12 boards, 10 assists. They were running stuff through him on the right side of the court and saying, if you send a double towards Denny, he's going to pick you apart. He had a crucial fourth quarter assist wwhere they did send a little bit of help. He whipped it to Monty Kamara in the corner. He was really physical. They were going small because Don McClingan just couldn't stay on the floor in this game, got in foul trouble early, just couldn't stay out of it. So they're going small. Denny Avdia was guarding Evan Mobley on the other end and running as the engine of the offense on the other end. Like a straight-up point center role for Denny Avdia in this game. He was great. It was great. That was one of the best performances of him by the season, and he was good in a way that he's been really good all season. So I don't mean to be like, this is the best Denny we've seen or anything like this, but this was like the primary creator, primary offensive engine type of Denny and the hyper efficiency in terms of shot making and getting himself to the free throw line, just like overpowering whoever either overpowering or out quicking the Cavs. It was like, Denny he's right-handed as hell, and he's just like, I'm going right, and they couldn't hang with him. They couldn't guard him. Nobody could guard him. The physicality he was really good in this game. I thought Ambry Simons had a really slow start to this game and didn't shoot well, but he was crucial when the Blazers needed him down the stretch, making free throws, and then a big three that briefly gave him the lead with under a minute left in OT. Shaedon Sharpe was pretty good, not great. Not good. The jump shot didn't go in. 1 of 6 from 3. But he's 6 of 10 inside the arc and got to the free throw line 3 times. Like I think he was fine. Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, who hit 4 threes against Brooklyn, comes back in 3 threes against the Cavs. When Tumani makes threes, he's really good. I thought Scoot, particularly early in this game, was excellent, and the Blazers Klingon fouled out in 11 minutes. They needed him to stay on the floor a little bit more, but in the end, the small ball was fine. But at the end of the game, they had to go do Upreath because they just needed a little more size in the game because the Cavs are big. Nothing to be ashamed of with that Cavs game. I thought the Blazers played really well. I did. I thought they were. I thought that was an entertaining game, albeit there was a lot of whistles. But I thought the players on the court played pretty well. It was an entertaining basketball game. I think the Blazers comported themselves well. That was a game where you can walk away and be like, yeah, hey, they played pretty well. That you should be nothing to hang your hat. A team's 50-10 you lose against. The Blazers are pretty good. They're pretty good. They're 14-6 over the last 20 games. They're pretty good. I think there are things you can point to. Soft part of the schedule. They've fattened up on teams that are below 500. When they've played some better teams, they've got some positive, like Indiana and Milwaukee on the second nights of back-to-backs. Blah, blah. It's like, sure. But we're 20 games into this thing, and you just saw what, the Cavs are missing Donovan Mitchell. Sure, whatever. I think at some point it stops being a small sample size and starts being like, yeah, they're just pretty good right now. And for me, I think they've reached that level. I don't know how good, right? Because when they played Denver and they played Minnesota, and even to some extent against the shorthanded Lakers, it's like those teams beat them because they were better, right? Like Minnesota just kind of closed, the shorthanded Minnesota team just kind of closed the door in the fourth quarter on the Blazers. Denver, beat the brakes off them twice. The Lakers, again, like final 3 minutes, and LeBron best player on the floor type of thing, and the Blazers just didn't made some mistakes in the final few minutes of those games. But those teams won because they're more talented, right? They played OKC during the stretch, and it's like, yeah, they weren't awful in that game by any means. They were kind of fine. But OKC won because they're a little bit better. But the Blazers were in that game to some extent. But here's the real truth. And this is undeniable. This isn't no caveats, no nothing, no anything like that. The Blazers are better than the bad teams. They're better than the bad teams. The teams that are truly bad, that are below the Blazers in the standings right now, they're better than them. Just over the last, they had a 4-game winning streak before losing to Cleveland. It's they're better than Charlotte. They beat them by 52. They're obviously the Jazz didn't play their guys, but the Blazers are playing better basketball than the Jazz are right now. The Jazz are in a weird spot because they often just straight up do not play healthy veterans in order to be competitive. But I think the Blazers are better than them. Look at just the outputs over the last 20 games. They're better than them. They're They're better than Brooklyn. They're better than Washington. Like, those weren't perfect games, but the Blazers, since the second half of the season started, they began this year 13-28. But since January 19th, win over Chicago, they got it going. And they're in that stretch. They're 14-6. But 8 of those wins have come against teams below 500. Or put another way, the Blazers are 8-0 against teams below 500 since January 19th. No flubs. They don't flub games. They just beat bad teams. When teams come in with losing records, and I'm only counting teams with losing records at the time of the game, so the Blazers have 2 wins over a bad Suns team during that stretch. So, and I'm counting those teams above 500 because at the time the Suns were above 500. It's gone bad for Phoenix since then. So, like, you could say they're 10-0 against teams under. I'm not going to do that, though. I'll say teams below 500 right now because I'm throwing the Kings into this mix. But Bulls, Kings, Hornets twice, Jazz, Wizards, Nets. There's some teams, they're 6-6 against the teams that were either at 500 when the game started or above 500. 14-6 overall in their last 20 games. They're just better than the bad teams. They're better than them. I said this, I think, on a show right after the Blazers beat Charlotte by 52. It didn't feel, that one felt kind of silly saying it then, right? Because it's like, yeah, you just beat them by 52. Like, that's not a serious basketball team. But after this stretch, and after now closing, over a month of obviously the All-Star break kind of shortens it, but like, we're in a stretch now where they've played enough games against enough teams that are below them in the standings, and they've won, not convincingly in every game, but they've won, and they haven't flubbed. And in the NBA, it's hard enough just to show up every night and not screw some stuff up against a bad team. Like that happens in the league constantly. And the Blazers haven't done that, and then they've been 500 against everyone else. They're just pretty good. So how do they build from here? Like, what do you do next? I think a lot of this season, yours truly, this podcaster, has kind of like been at odds with the Blazers' success. Not because I'm like actively rooting against them. I think that would be a mischaracterization of what this show is, like a vast mischaracterization of what this show is. But I have been like, hey, I don't understand what they're doing. So instead of like sitting here and doing my I don't get it dance, which I can do at any point, it's my show, I'd like to go the other way. What if this is the plan? What if this is the perfect execution of what the Blazers envisioned? How do they build from here now that they've seen sustained success over 20 games in the middle chunk of the season and look like they're headed for more success, at least? March is really tough for them. They play a bunch of good games, a bunch of good teams. But I would consider like Sunday's game of success. They played pretty well and had multiple chances with the ball in their hands to win the game. I'm not going to talk about the play-in today. I don't care about that. I want to talk about sustained success moving forward, the larger picture for the Blazers. Join me in that third segment, and we will do just that. First, though, let's talk DoorDash. What if you're watching an NBA game and someone goes nuts? Well, they swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass. Every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's simple. When any player scores 50 or more points during a regular season game this year, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 the next day from noon to midnight. Or for my West Coast listeners, 9 a.m. to 11:59 Pacific time. All day long if you live in that Pacific time zone. So say you're watching the game and then you're a Dash Pass member and you get a late night craving. So you rewatching highlights or maybe just need a midnight snack, you can use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Or the next day after that big 50-point game, you can get lunch on the go while you're at work. You can get a quick and easy lunch, and with Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals delivered for $0 in delivery fees plus reduced service fees. And now you're going to save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores that 50 points in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off of an order the next day when you use the promo code NBA50 from 9 a.m. to 11:59 Pacific time or noon to midnight for everybody else. You check your time zones. Watch those 50-point games, and then on eligible orders at participating merchants, you can save some money. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit Dash Pass to learn more. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you are still listening to Locked On Blazers. So how do the Blazers build from here? Let's assume this is the plan, right? The Blazers have perfectly executed the plan. At some point, every NBA team needs to move from like, we're losing on purpose to an earnest step towards winning. And let's say that the Blazers, surprise, took that earnest step towards winning in the middle of January in 2025. They said, all right, we like what we have. Let's move forward from here. Well, I would say this stretch is, if it's not a proof of concept, it is a concept. Nonetheless, it shows you what they want to be. This is a team that plays pretty big. They've without Jeremy Grant the last couple games, they've played Shaedon Sharpe at 2, and he's like a typical size 2 guard, but he's not small by any means. He's 6'5". He's not a small 2 guard. So, but like they have been, their sort of ideal lineup is like plus length. They're a good defensive team. They have the ability to go small. They're willing to. We have not seen them play a ton of zone during the stretch. They've kind of dropped that. They're playing mostly drop with Donovan Clingan and a little bit of switch everything and some of their late switch stuff where they'll let Clingan switch if they have to, but they're not like bringing him up to the level to switch. He'll be in drop and then he'll switch as needed as when like the point guard snakes or whatever, or the screener crushes the guy on the screen. He can't get over the top, right? So like we've seen them mostly play man to man. They're get after you with a bunch of ball pressure. They're aggressive on the backside in terms of helping, but they're not like they're not sending 2 to the ball that much. They don't do it a ton. You don't see them double with regularity. You mostly see them just straight up switch, guard their man, try to apply a ton of ball pressure. That's the sort of concept, and the core is competitive. Behind Denny Avdia and Toumani Camara, this team has looked competitive. They're the guys who have pushed this thing from, hey, we want to be good, to like, hey, they're certainly not one of the bad teams. They're probably not one of the good teams yet, but they're certainly not one of the bad teams, right? They're a team that is clearly above a certain rung of team in the league, and it starts with Denny and 2. Denny is just the versatility on both ends. Toumani, the just incredible defensive impact, and his budding offensive game, right? Like he shot really well over the weekends, but he's been shooting. He's having a career year, obviously 2 years, but like he's improved as a shooter while he's been in the NBA. I think he has some other offensive skills that he's still kind of honing. Denny has had a way bigger on-ball role in Portland than he had in his early part of his career with the Wizards, and he's looked increasingly more comfortable and getting increasingly more opportunity to have that role with the Blazers. It starts with them. The core is competitive. And then how do you build from here? Well, because you are not chasing the top level draft picks, you're hoping that the internal improvement of the youngsters, Donovan Clingan, who's getting a whole bunch of run during this no Rob Williams, no DeAndre Ayton stretch, and to mixed results. I think you see how good he is on defense and see some of his other warts, and he's had some foul trouble games, et cetera, et cetera. You're getting Scoot Henderson, who I think, getting some good Scoot Henderson games. Scoot still has some struggles and some things he doesn't do great, but you're getting an improved Scoot Henderson getting more run. Shaedon Sharpe has had some moments this week where it's like, yeah, he's uber talented. The challenge for Shaedon is always just going to be consistency. How often can he hit those highs? Like how often does he hit his peaks? But if you're building from here, that seems to be something akin to the plan. Obviously, a chunk of the stretch happened with DeAndre Ayton, and they were awesome, and then he got hurt. I am a little loath to say like, oh, well, if they were healthy, because throughout an NBA season, you're not going to be healthy. The challenge of a team is its depth. How good are you with all, when you don't have all of your parts, right? If you just said, oh, if this team is 100% full strength, all this, it suggests that you're not deep enough to overcome some stuff. You're going to have to weather some injuries during an NBA season. So I don't even want to use, obviously they're missing DA and they probably be better with him right now, because I think he's better than Donovan Clingan is right now. Like you would be further along. You'd be further along. So how do they build from here? I think you still need to add shooting. I think there's a big question is like, oh, well, what do they need to add? It's like, if you assume that like where they're going to be in this draft position is like, it's not like you can't add a superstar if you draft 9 or 10 in the draft. It just is very unlikely over the like recent and also long history of the league. This is just not where the super duper stars come from. So like, let's assume that they still need to nail a draft pick, right? Everyone who's a good team nails a couple draft picks along the way. Doesn't matter where the Blazers select, they got to nail a draft pick, but they're unlikely to be adding that sort of like thought of as a franchise player type of asset in the draft, type of new player in the draft. They're not an asset. They're just a basketball player. Apologize. But like, you need to add shooting. If you're going to add like stuff around the fringes of this team, they still need more above average shooting. They could use a little more like shot creation stuff, but you hope that Shaedon grows into that a little more and Scoot Anderson grows into that a little more. And like Danny continues to take on that role and maybe Tumani does. So like shooting would be a big thing that you would add. You could probably use another ball handler here or there, depending on how you move forward with Humphrey Simons, who will be entering the final year of his contract next year, and what you do with Delano Banson, who is a free agent this summer. But like a little more ball handling and definitely more plus shooting and guys that continue to fit the plan. Plus length. They're big. When the Blazers have been at their best, they've played big. I think that's like, you do not want to go back to being small, which is like why the team has really avoided long stretches for the most part of playing Scoot and Humphrey Simons together. They just don't want to do it because they don't think it works. So how do you build from here? You know the concept. You know kind of what this team looks like when they're at their best. And you know you need to add more shooting to complement these players. What if this was the plan? Be incrementally better this year, prove that you can win, prove how you want to win, get guys that are competitive. Sure, you're in a weird spot vis-a-vis the drafts and in between the play-in and the draft, but if we assume, and I think this is obviously like a big assumption, but if we assume that this was in fact the executed plan, and that's the nature of this third segment here, is I'm assuming this was the Blazers are executing a plan that they wanted to. They're better now, and you think that because the core is young, and a lot of the core is like under 22, that you have room to grow internally. And the best and the star, or the thing that's going to take you farther, is going to be one of the young guys, one of the last guys you draft in the lottery, DC, Shea, or Scoot, and probably Shea or Scoot, quite frankly, them taking that next leap. But along the way, you've created a competent enough team that you feel can be competitive in the immediate and medium future. If you are rejecting the whole thing is mystifying Mike Richmond belief, and you are saying this is the plan well executed, I think that's what you have to believe. That they found a core that works, and they're willing to say internal improvement can take this to the next steps, because right now, the steps we've taken in season prove that we have built something that can win. Your mileage may vary on that, but I think if you're a believer in the product, if you're a believer in this system, that has to be the sort of tenets of your belief, or it would be the tenets of mine if I were a true believer. And really, I'm just a person with a podcast. And I wanted to tease out these thoughts because I think it's important for me to not... I find it useful as someone who thinks about the team all the time to flip the coin and look at the other side and what am I seeing? Like here are my strongly held beliefs. If I am wrong, why am I wrong? What is it working? What was I wrong about? And I find it, even if it's like, these aren't things that I believe strongly, I think there is value in considering the sort of inverse of what maybe you have thoughts when you're working through this every day. Like I am learning along with the rest of you. And quite frankly, the Blazers just keep on winning and playing well. And so you have to address some of your priors. I think it's only the right thing to do. Okay, here's the deal, y'all. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am not at home. I'm at my parents' house. This is my childhood bedroom. No longer decorated as it was when I was a tween and teen when I lived in this room, but it's my dad's office these days. But I'm not going to record 5 episodes this week because I'm visiting my family. I'm across the country and I'm making it happen. But I am going to. I'm recording this Monday night or Sunday night. This is Monday show. Record a show after the Blazers play Philly later this week. And then I will have another show for you recorded after Wednesday's game that will be out on Thursday. So look for 3 of them this week. After this is this is Monday's show. You'll have a show in your feed on Tuesday after the Sixers game, and then you'll have a show in your feed on Thursday after the Blazers play the Celtics. So 3 shows this week. I'm going to release them about the same time I normally do. So look for them, and we'll keep it rolling. I appreciate you listening, and we'll come back with 5 next week. Tell your friends about the program, and if they ask where I've been, tell them I'm here. But I'm still got 3 shows coming for you this week. All right, that's going to do it. Wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.